Okay, so Atlas is the dog that has, in my opinion, the most interesting body language out of the 4 of these dogs right here, because Atlas is a high arousal dog. He's a rescue, and he came with a very significant set of high arousal behaviors. He has a hard time settling. He gets easily worked up. He's kind of always just at the edge of his seat, ready to get too excited or over the top. And this is part of who he is. Like I said, he's a rescue. He came with these behaviors, and we're working on all of the settling. But part of this is preloaded, whether it's genetics or early experiences before he came here. He has a lot of very high arousal behaviors. So if we take a look at Atlas here, let's look at his ears first. Obviously, being a Frenchie, he has those erect ears. In this case, they're facing the same direction. Oh, now he's triangulating. Let's watch. Good. In this case, he's facing forward. His ears are forward because he is listening to me. But if I stop talking, let's watch those ears. Good boy. And you can see how they move independently of one another. Atlas! When those ears are both pointed forward or at something in particular, you know he's really focused on that, and that could be a stressor for him. But in the case where his ears are just kind of going all over the place, Atlas! It tells you he's listening to the things around him. Come here, Atlas. Now let's take a look at his body. The other area where Atlas really shows his stimulation is in his muscle tension. He's a very built dog. You can see his muscular structure really obviously. And what you notice very frequently is that he's stiff a lot. He's almost at the edge of his seat trying not to overreact to things. And you can actually see that in his muscular structure. Come here, fella. So oftentimes when you look at him, he'll be kind of leaning forward like he's ready to jump on something, which... Let's see if we can get the angle before he walks away, and you can see it there. He's leaning more forward than backward. And when you take a look at his muscular structure, he a lot of the times is holding his muscles stiff until he kind of explodes with like an excited jump, or he's running, or he is, doing something with a lot of energy. And that's just part of who he is, and he is frequently in that mode. Hey fella, can we see your muscles? Hi. Good boy. And if you take a look, if you saw that little just step he just did, he is always on the edge of his seat. So his ears are erect. They are listening to the things around him, and his body is stiff because he is ready to kind of explode with excitement. Hi, fella. Looking at his eyes, he has these beautiful eyes. I don't see any sort of anxiety there, any sort of fear, because we are not seeing the whale eye. We see his irises, which are both brown and blue in his case. We see his pupils, which are black, but we don't see the whites of his eyes. If his eyes were super wide and we could see the whites of his eyes, if he was looking at us out of the corner of his eye, we would know that that's a whale eye, which tells us he's uncomfortable, but he's not showing that. So we know that he's not fearful. We can see those little ears triangulating into different directions as he listens to things. If those ears were pinned back, we would know he's fearful. He is not fearful. If those ears were totally forward and facing the same direction towards something he was fixated on, we would know he's high arousal. Right now, this is kind of the calmest that he gets when he's up and about. And then, remember, his tail really doesn't tell us anything because he doesn't have one, and it's not docked like Fenton's is, which is still really expressive. It's just this little nub that really doesn't do too much of anything. Hi, fella. Hey, you. Good boy. And then this little fella, he is a very interesting dude. He loves affection, and it's one of the few things that can actually get him super calm. There we go. So his eyes were wide before, and they often are wide, not showing the whale eye, but just very wide. You start scritching him, those eyes start to get kind of scrunchy, and his body starts to relax, and then boom, he's off to the races. So take a look. You can really see the tension in his body right now. His muscular structure is very tight. Good boy. There he is. And if I do anything playful, you'll be able to see the way his body reacts. So I'm just going to stand up. I'm just going to make some goofy responses, and boom, he's off to the races. He is kind of always on the edge of his seat, trying not to explode with excitement. And in the context of dogs that know and love him, it's not as big of a deal, but still a challenge, because not all dogs have this high arousal body language. Fenton is another one that has a lot of high arousal body language. Not right now, he's nice and chill right now, but because he's a Corgi, he's highly motivated, so that's kind of bred into him. As far as Atlas goes, it's not typically a breed characteristic, but it can be, just depending on what the genetics are and what the early experiences are. And with this guy being a little rescue, we also don't know a ton about certain parts of his early experiences, but we see the evidence of a lot of things because he is such a high stimulation. Oh, good boy. Good boy. So not really showing a lot of fear, but does show a lot of arousal. But in this case, he can melt if we pet the right way. We love you, Atlas. We love you.